I wanted to have you on because I read a piece you had, which obviously right now the cable news, corporate media is kind of really focused on the filibuster fight, Biden versus McConnell and all that stuff. Not to say the filibuster is not important and the fight to remove it is not important, but you wrote a piece that I think is really telling about the Democrats basically shifting already to austerity, which, a lot of people might wonder, have they shifted to austerity or were they already kind of getting there towards the end of last year? The headline, Democratic inaction will lead back to austerity. It's pretty long piece. I encourage people to read it at the American Prospect, but I wanted to read this part in particular. Talk without action, and not just on voting, has been how the Democrats have used the governing trifecta since March's passage of the American Rescue Plan. And it drives not only exhaustion, but bad policy. Despite a promising start that suggested Biden's administration had internalized the lessons of the Obama presidency and the pain of doing too little, there's been a slow motion pivot right back to that state of affairs, which heralds political disaster. Legislative paralysis is mostly to blame for this. There is no majority for the Democratic platform in Congress as long as the majority relies on Joe Manchin. But the bigger problem is that the perspective that better things aren't possible has begun to infect an executive branch with plenty of options to improve the situation. Witness the Biden administration official who responded to CNN's question about whether there should be additional relief measures during the Omicron variant spike by saying, no, there might be something small for restaurants, but the economy is booming. There are millions of open jobs. And we do not believe people should be sitting at home if they are vaccinated and boosted, as most adults are. It took all of 1 week for the aristocratic sounding response to become inoperative. House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer told reporters this week that the White House would be asking for substantial relief funding. So I bring that up. Everybody should read it at the American Prospect. I wanted to ask you, because I was struck actually when I read that CNN article where they said the economy's booming, because I don't know, I've traveled the country. There's apparently a different idea of booming, one for cable news journalists and, influencers and like workers. So I wanted to ask you, what have you found from your reporting? Where are they getting that this economy is booming? And also you had mentioned that there are things that Biden can do, but this kind of inertia of, well, nothing big's possible at this point is setting in.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always this tension between wanting to tout your accomplishments and also, dealing with the realities of the country. There is no doubt that we have experienced job increases that are the most of any president in the first year, that the unemployment rate is down to 3.9%. And that wages are rising, particularly at the low end of the scale. But the inflation situation is as such that most for the average person, real wages are falling. And that's never fun if you're someone out there and realizing that your paycheck doesn't go as far as it used to. And it's driving a lot of the issues around Biden's approval rating and perceptions of the economy. And so saying that the economy's booming, everybody go back to work, especially, kind of almost ignoring the fact that we have these historic highs in COVID cases. This is causing major shortages around the country for labor. It's also causing shortages literally with store shelves and things like that. And the fact that the supply chain issues really have not been resolved. There are more ships waiting off the coast of where I'm at here in Los Angeles than ever before. You can't just go forward and say that well, statistically, if you look at certain aggregates in certain constrained circumstances, that we're doing just fine and everybody should get out and move forward with this glorious economy. It just misses stuff, and I think that it's almost being put forward as an excuse for the inaction that we're seeing in Congress.
And I also kind of want to ask, I mean, obviously you're a reporter, but just from a political perspective, you don't always win re-election if you don't get stuff done, but I would think you have kind of a better chance if you actually look like you're trying and look like you're fighting.
Right.
I mean, I don't expect anything from Joe Biden. The record is the record. He basically is a 1990s moderate Republican, decent on some social stuff, but economically he's right wing in my view. But if you look at how he ran on specific things that he pretty much preemptively surrendered on. $15 minimum wage. You don't hear about the public option anymore. Police reform is not really a thing anymore. Obviously, he's been dealing with a pandemic. But I wanted to ask you, I mean, what they're doing, which is this kind of lying in fetal position, trying to be diplomatic and nice with Joe Manchin and Kirsten Sinema, clearly not working. And there has been examples where if you pressure Manchin, he gets a little hot under the collar. I mean, when Bernie Sanders wrote an op-ed in a West Virginia newspaper, he didn't like that. Manchin can be pressured. I don't know if it would get his vote, but any inkling into why Biden won't be more aggressive and his administration won't be more aggressive towards Manchin, particularly on Build Back Better?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Build Back Better situation is pretty toxic right now. I think that Manchin clearly doesn't want to do it and is coming up with any excuse he possibly can to put that forward. I don't know exactly how salvageable it is. I mean, there's this theory that he offered just do what he wants and then we'll get something done. But what he wants changes from day to day and week to week. So I don't know if there's really a sweet spot there, but because kind of the entire agenda was put into that Build Back Better basket, it's like they don't have anything else that that's on the agenda. I mean, there's this push right now on voting rights, which it was very clear throughout this entire period that there aren't 60 votes for voting rights, and there aren't 50 votes to get rid of the filibuster. Kirsten Sinema just today went to the floor of the Senate and said, I'm not budging on the filibuster, which is the same thing that she said since January of 2021. So what was the point of this month that you've seemingly wasted now? It's one thing to sort of get credit for trying. Like you don't get everything you want, but you're showing your base that this is really important to you, and you're laying out the stakes of who's blocking progress. But usually the people blocking progress aren't in your own party, right? I mean, like, it's harder to make that argument when it's Democrats that are the obstacle. And clearly Sinema and Manchin are the obstacle with respect to changing the filibuster and getting voting rights done. And they're also, at least Manchin, the obstacle on getting the rest of the agenda done. So you gotta figure out something else to do. Now, I think that the primacy of the pandemic is something we shouldn't lose sight of. People are pissed off because they have to, navigate this thing again 2 years in. What Biden is doing around getting tests finally to people's mailboxes, getting masks. He just made an announcement about getting masks into people's hands. That's great, but the administration initially said no to both of those things and had to be prodded by public outcry to get to the right place. They could have got to the right place initially because it was very clear that we were going to need more non-pharmaceutical interventions to get us through this very transmissible portion of the disease.
But I should add, just to clarify, it's not clear to me. I mean, a report came out that those tests, if you're insured, you could get reimbursed through insurance.
Right.
Once you go through all the rigmarole of filling out paperwork.
That's insane.
It's not even clear to me that they are free.
Well, there's two separate things going on, right? So yes, there is this thing around insurance, which was their initial plan, which is insane. Like, you're going to save your receipts and go to your health insurance company for a $25 2-pack, and you're going to go through all the hassle of what you have to do to actually get your insurance to agree to something over $25. Like, no one's going to do that. It's ridiculous. It's like it's free in name only. The separate thing after the outcry is that they're going to mail them to your house. And that is, I believe, going to be free. It will not be a situation where you have to pay for them at all. So there are two separate things going on there, but they're cleaning up their own mistake, right? I mean, that's what they're doing. That's why the second thing was announced.